Hello, this is Bad Vibes, and before I start the video, I would like to thank everyone that has supported me over the last few months. It means the world to me. All the nice comments make me want to make another video, so thank you. Also, if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. And to all my viewers, I will continue to work to get better. There's still a lot of things I need to improve on, and I'm working on it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. I'll say it right now. I grew up in a broken home. Dad drank, mom drank. That might be why I never touched a drop, but I'm getting on a tangent here. Most of you already know where this story is going. Dad used to get drunk and blame Mom and I for all of his problems. Mom would lock me in my room while he would do what aggressive drunks do while they're upset. I'd say more often than not my mother's screams and my own sobs would rock me to sleep. My mom started drinking and became numb to the whole thing. First, Dad kept hitting her and left me crying in my room. I guess he got bored eventually. 3 days after my 5th birthday, Dad came into my room for the first time. He had never done that before. Mom had stopped him. He broke my nose that first night. We went to the hospital and I told the doctor I fell down the stairs. He seemed to believe me. It was like clockwork after that. Mondays, Dad worked late and we rested. Tuesday nights and Thursday nights, he was in the bar until well after my bedtime. Wednesdays were the worst. Fridays were normally insults and occasional slap. Weekends, he drank himself to sleep around 4 in the afternoon. But Wednesdays, he'd come up to my room to do his business. If I blocked the door, it was a dozen rounds with a belt. If I cried, it was a slap for every tear. But if I was quiet and let his knuckles crack against my jaw and let him pull my short hair, I'd never have to make up stories at school. I was an adventurous boy and no one looked twice when my hands were scraped or I had a bruise on my cheek. I lived for 2 years fearing that one night Dad would hit me too hard and I'd end up with the angels. Death scared me. One Wednesday, I was sitting in the corner when I saw him, a tall man in my corner. At first I thought it was a woman. It looked like a black dress fell from a black face. I realized at that moment it was a robe, a cloak, but I never learned that word until years later. I knew what I was looking at. I'd watched TV. I had read books. I knew what death was supposed to look like. But I didn't cry. Dad would come in. I'd get the belt and death would take me away. But for all the pain in my life, I knew that I wanted to live. That night I fell asleep on the floor, huddled in the corner of the room with a halo of moonlight coming through the window resting around my feet. Death simply stood in the darkest corner of my room, behind the door leading to the hall. He was there every bad night after, always Wednesdays, some Fridays when my dad was in his worst mood. Every night he got closer. After 2 months, he would sit on the toy box at the end of my bed, sitting with his back against the wall, turned sideways so I could always see the profile of his shadowy hood. "Why are you here?" I asked him one night. He stared at me from the position knees pressed to his chest and arms curled around his shins, almost in a fetal position, though there was no fear in the position, just boredom. "To watch," he told me. I had expected a quiet rasp like on TV. Death's voice was something more. It was a burly man's confident and strong. It was a caring mother's nurturing tone, a madman laugh and a child giggle. It disturbed me and comforted me at the same time. "To watch what?" I asked. He simply looked at me. I saw his eyes for the first time that night. I had always expected a soulless pit there. Instead, I found blue orbs in a bleached skull. The orbs held galaxies, internal and non-existent. Everything and nothing lived in the shadows of his cloak. Those contradictions comforted me. "Over you, child," Death responded. I thought he lied to me, and I grew upset. I asked him why he never stopped my father. "It's not my place to intervene," he told me. I asked him what he meant. He told me he couldn't stop my father if he tried. He simply was there to guide me if my nightmare ever came true. After that night, death was more of a father to me in the way my own never was. The next week he brought a thick, leather-bound book. Within were fairy tales, dark and light themes, in countless languages. He told me stories in the voice of my grandmother, who died when I was 4. When I got older, he stopped bringing the book. We stayed up until the crack of dawn talking. I asked him about the afterlife and why things were the way they were. He always answered vaguely, telling me I'd understand one day. He stayed with me and covered me until dawn peeked over my neighbor's roof. Then the sunlight would touch his black robe, turning it into a blinding white. Then he was gone. He'd be back next week, and I'd get ready for school. I never tired when death spoke to me. Life went on. When I was 12, my doctor fixed my nose for the 3rd time and started asking questions. Within 3 weeks, I was taken from that home and put into an orphanage. In a Hollywood moment, my family doctor, who had heard about what had been happening from a friend at the hospital, adopted me. He and his wife had been trying for a child for years, but they never did. I lived a happy life after that. I never forgot what happened to me in my youth, though. I followed in my new father's footsteps and became a physician. Sadly, jobs were tight, and I took a role in the morgue. All those years around death helped me work out my new job, and I enjoyed it. My heart broke when my adopted mother was in an accident. I was the one that put the toe tag on her. I had to take the rest of the week off, but death was there that day. He stood in the corner of the storage room when I closed the drawer. Holding his skeleton hand was a little girl with green eyes and chocolate hair. I had seen her in my mother's family pictures and knew this was her, around 7 years old. It hurt me, but death nodded to me, and I knew he was going to take care of her. In my lifetime, I've closed that drawer on 4 parents. Dad drove into the storefront while driving drunk. I had to leave the room when they wheeled him in. Would have spat on his cold husk of a body if I didn't. Mom drank herself into an early grave a year later. I pitied her when I closed the drawer. He had broken her soul and she died in pain. Though my mother left the morgue the same way my adopted mother did, I still remember the screams when death dragged my father through the floor, the red-hot chain and metal collar strapped around his neck. My father, the man that saved my life, died 4 years ago. He went quickly in his sleep. I volunteered to close the drawer on him. When I did, death arrived and took the little boy with the dark hair and blue eyes. You may wonder why I'm writing this. In truth, I'm not quite sure myself. I guess I wanted to tell people not to fear death. He's a gentle being with a crappy job, and he saved my life. With the life he gave me, I married. I've raised 3 children, 2 girls and a boy who look just like their mother. I have 9 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren, with a 3rd on the way. I lost my wife a year ago to a heart attack. It hurts me to think about it, but I know she didn't fear death. She knew my story, the one I'm telling you now. She went in her sleep, holding my hand. As I write these final thoughts, I look to my window. Out there I see a figure in the street, snow blowing white on black robes. A moment ago I opened the window to invite him in. When you live as long as I have, you learn to treat guests right. Now he's standing in the corner, patient as the day I met him. When I'm done with this post, I'm going to turn off my laptop, put the little girl he brought with him on my lap and close my eyes. My wife will close her brilliant blue eyes and rest her crimson locks on my chin. I'll take one breath and fall asleep. When I wake up, I'll be with my family. I'll see my mother and father again. I'll see my mom, happier than she was in life. I'll see the 4 dogs I had in my lifetime too, hopefully. Mortimer, death calls from the corner. I sigh and type faster. If I can say one last thing, I like to quote Blue Oyster Cult, "Don't fear the Reaper," because after all, people are the real monsters. Thanks everyone for watching. There will be another video out on Friday. Also, if you have a topic that you would like me to cover, please drop a comment and I'll get right on it. Till next time.